startups need the corporates and the family offices. They are still the ones that moving the needle, and they are here today to be very open and to share with us what are they doing. We have 3 phenomenal speakers here, and one directly from India that you can see here. Hello. Can you hear us, Siddharth?
Yes, we can hear, I can see and hear all of you all pretty clearly.
Perfect. So Siddharth Borkar is from Mahindra Group, and I will let you introduce this phenomenal activity that you're doing there and how much you're really planning to also do in Germany and also doing in Germany. Naoyoshi Yoneyama from SBI SoftBank, very happy to have you here and also to dive in and to dig in what are you planning to do here. Maria Roßbander from Siemensstadt, doing great things and actually bringing the right mindset for a very heavy group. And of course, Nils Wagner, all the way from Switzerland, not born, but German originally, representing his own family office. And together we're going to have a discussion that, we call it corporate innovation hunger. Because again, there are both sides of the coin that we all need to come together to build a very successful economy and ecosystem. So I won't take much more time. Siddharth, I would love you. I know that you plan to come to Berlin, and we really appreciate that. But visa-wise, corona-wise, you are here with us, and hopefully next year we will see you in person. Please start. I would love you to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mali, and thank you, Asia Berlin team, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to participate here. Unfortunately, had it not been for the visa issues and the COVID-related delays, I definitely would have been sitting on the empty 4th chair that is there on the podium right now. Nevertheless, maybe next time, I'll definitely be sitting on one of those chairs. But to quickly introduce myself, I am Siddharth Borkar. I'm a part of the group mergers and acquisition team of Mahindra and Mahindra. Mahindra Group is a $20 billion, US $20 billion conglomerate based out of Mumbai in India. We are present in over 100 plus countries. We are employing about 2.5 lakh thousand people across the globe. We are present in about 11 sectors, 22 industries. Again, very diverse, ranging from automotive to farm equipment to financial services to aerospace, information technology, etc. In the M&A team, I am personally looking at all the gamut of M&A activities for the Mahindra Group across sectors like automotive, mobility, logistics, aerospace, and renewable energy. Besides that, I also lead the relationships for the Mahindra Group with various institutional investors like the global sovereign wealth funds, the pension funds, private equity investors, venture capital investors, etc. About my qualification, I am a chartered accountant by educational qualification. Have been with the Mahindra Group for a little over 3 years. And again, in M&A, I am doing virtually everything under the roof of M&A. I'm doing acquisitions, startup investments, divestments, listing. I'm doing capital market transactions, internal restructuring, joint ventures. So there are quite exciting things that are happening right now in India and across the globe. So I must definitely say that these are very interesting times that I'm personally living in, and look forward to sort of interacting with all of you all and also with the startup ecosystem in Berlin.
Thank you so much. Now, Yoshi, I know a bit of what you're doing there. I know what you're doing here, and I know also what you're doing outside, abroad, and how much SoftBank and SBI is very crucial for big companies also to go bigger and global. I would like to share with us about your role, what are your expectations, and what are you doing in Europe and Berlin?
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for to give me an opportunity. First of all, please let me correct our company. So we are as one of my mission to here, I came to here 3 years ago, and one of my small mission is to correct the people's wrong perception toward our company. So SBI is capital-wise totally independent from SoftBank, so we don't have any relationship anymore. So we are the purely online financial conglomerate, and the SoftBank is in the other direction into the telecommunication. Although that they are quite famous on the so-called SoftBank Vision Fund, which is nothing to do with our business. So my first mission was to correct this wrong perception. And yeah, I think it's okay that I still have to make a great effort to this kind of thing. But I think my half, in this sense, my first, my mission of 50% is almost completed. So thank you very much. Yeah, about myself, so as I mentioned, that SoftBank, SBI is a Japanese financial conglomerate. So we have the largest online bank in Japan, as well as a brokerage, a securitized firm in Japan. So we are so-called company builder. Although we are the corporate, but we are 22 years ago, 22 years old. So which is relatively new large corporate in Japanese market, stock exchange market. But we are strongly, we are quite strong on the investment business, in particular venture capital firm. We have already committed $2.5 billion US, more than 2,000 portfolio companies so far in last 22 years. Currently, we are taking care of the roughly 50 European portfolio companies. Basically, we are sector agnostic approach. But in terms of German or Berliner startups, we are focusing on so-called deep tech, such as AI, IoT, and blockchain technologies. So, yeah. I'm happy to share my experience in the last 3 years, and I'm happy to be part of the startup ecosystem here in Berlin.
Thank you. Thank you also for being open and share. Nils Wagner, all the way from Switzerland, but you're originally German.
I was born in Switzerland, and I'm Swiss, but actually my family heritage is German, so it's I feel quite.
I mean, I'm trying to bring you home, you know.
I feel at home.
I know, but Nils, you're actually very special because you're born and raised in Europe, let's say, but you also spent 8 years in China. All in all, I know we had a conversation before. This is why you are also speaking here. The value of the family offices back when it comes to innovation, the younger generation, the adaptation, the collaboration. So please introduce yourself, and if you can say some words on this.
Thank you. Yes, compared to my other panelists here from SBI, Mahindra, and Siemens, I kind of represent the German Mittelstand. We're of course not quite as huge as some of these conglomerates, but maybe just to start with my background, I actually studied architecture in Zurich. And that was my passion. And for me, architecture represents, you know, bringing a singular vision to life through collaboration. And so at the end, you know, singular vision turns into kind of a team success. And after I got my degree, I decided not to go into practice, but actually to join the family business. So that's what brought me to REHAU, a family-owned group founded by my grandfather in 1948 as a startup, basically. So it was him by himself at first, and only a handful of employees, and it's grown over the last many decades to quite a diverse group. We have 20,000 employees in about 170 locations worldwide, and we do 4 billion euros turnover, supplying the automotive industry, construction industry and other manufacturing companies. So I felt that that gave me a lot of opportunity to take singular vision and bring it to group or team success. And that journey brought me from different marketing and sales roles to China in 2012. I moved there with my family, and then again went through different roles and responsibilities, and time really flies in China, as you know well,
8
Molly.
years.
Exactly. So 8 years later, I was like, hang on a minute. What am I going to do with the rest of my life? And so we decided to move back to Europe, to Switzerland, where we were from. And I also took on a new role within the company. So today I'm responsible for building our own incubator, New Ventures, it's called. And that's a little bit also coming full circle because REHAU started as an innovative startup in 1948. And it's our job now to create other startups to hopefully make us successful for many more years to come.
Beautiful. And I don't want you to be modest today. Also, you raised a factory for your own family office in China. You did great things there. It's culture, differentiation. So you definitely learned a lot during this time. And we will touch the incubator because this is exactly why we have this panel today. Maria, I'm so proud to have you today because you're working in Siemens and Siemensstadt, and Siemens did a huge, massive commitment for Berlin. But on the same time, it's a monster. And you are there because you bring definitely the different mindset. You remember how we met? She was actually in the Oscar we did. But you bring different mindset, not only understanding the diversity and being a woman there, with around you probably tons of guys, but also understanding what is the younger generation in Berlin really needs. I want every founder to come for a breakfast in Sunday, sunny Berlin. So like, hey, Siemensstadt is far away, or maybe not even enough welcome. And I'm feeling from what we are always talking that this is your main role there, to make it sexy and to make it adaptive to the need. Please present yourself.
Well, thank you, first of all, for the really kind introduction, Mali. What else can I tell you about Siemensstadt and myself? So first off, I was brought up in Siemensstadt. So I was born in Magdeburg, so we fled the country 3 weeks prior to the wall coming down and ended up actually in Siemensstadt. So I went there to school. I know the district very well. And then eventually I got hired by Siemens, which is a coincidence that I now in my new role as being in charge for the program management of Siemensstadt Square, that I can go back to my roots, but I'm at the same time extremely proud about this opportunity, as you can imagine, because I know how this district has developed in different directions and now to bring it to this next level. The first level was when Siemens, I mean, we also started as a startup, as you probably know, but that happened in 1847, so quite some years ago, and ever since we're in a transformation. And in Siemensstadt, this is during the times of industrialization, this is where we built this district for factories, but also for the people to live there and come to work. The future for tomorrow is a bit, or the vision for tomorrow is different. Mali touched upon it very differently. And if I have to put it in one sentence, I want Berliners to meet in Siemensstadt on a Sunday to go there for their brunch. Because usually I would pick Prenzlauer Berg nowadays, or I would go to Mitte, I would go to Mauerpark.
Not the West?
No,
sorry.
I mean, I live there, so I mean, I want to go further away. Berlin is so far, is so big. So, and I was just at Mauerpark yesterday, and it's so vibrant. And I took my partner there with his son. He's visiting, and I told him, you know, the last thing you will probably hear there is that people will speak German, and I was proven right. And that's what I love about that area. And this is what I want for Siemensstadt as well. I want that, or we want, of course, it's not only me, we're a team of at least 40 people. We want inclusion, we want diversity, we want the target group. I'm not the target group, by the way. I'm too old already. So the target group are probably your kids, we talked about it. We want the younger generation to come there to enjoy this district that we are, let me call it refurbishing.
Thank you so much. We probably can speak about it forever, and unfortunately this panel is quite limited in time. I want to touch something that is relevant to all of you. Part of you are here to invest and to find the best founders and to implement that in their companies. Part of you are here to actually communicate with younger generation because you understand that this is the future of the company. Either it's a family offices that has to adapt to innovation and younger generation, and either it's Siemens. And I would like to really throw back this question to all of you. Also, Siddharth, please jump in, although you're not here in the room, but you are here with us. What are you really finding here in Berlin, here in Germany, or what are you searching for, and you really, maybe the audience here and the people that listening online can really reach out to you for?
Thanks for the question, Mali. So the thing is that about Mahindra Group, we have invested. I'll right now sort of focus only on startup-related investments. So we at Mahindra Group, we have invested in startups all across the globe. We've just not confined ourselves to India. We've invested in startups in Switzerland. We have invested in startups in Canada, in the US, in Southeast Asia. The reason I am here because I've heard a lot about Berlin and its ecosystem being one of the best in Europe. That is something which has really brought me here to sort of understand this ecosystem a lot better by probably meeting people in the ecosystem, by sort of having discussions with them, and that's how I'm looking to sort of scan opportunities and potential partnerships in this hot European ecosystem. Having said that, maybe before I sort of get down into what I'm looking for, let me just give you an certain anecdotes of how important Germany is for our group. We have this company called Automobili Pininfarina. It is based out of Munich. In fact, out of the entire world, we chose Munich as a destination to sort of set up this company. And what this company is doing is it is manufacturing an electric hypercar. That car is called the Pininfarina Battista. Maybe I would request all of you all to sort of Google it. It's really a good-looking car, and it costs about 2 million euros. So the point I'm making is, in the entire world, where we chose the country we chose for this project to be headquarters was in fact Germany. Besides that, our IT company Tech Mahindra has a lot of presence in Germany. We have done acquisitions in Germany in the forging space. So the point is, Germany is quite well known to us in that sense, economically, and also between India and Germany, there are very strong ties. Now, what I want to do is I want to now move towards looking at startups, while on the established company sides, export sides, relationship with auto ancillaries, all of that is there. But I want to now look at startups in a lot closer lens. And the particular areas which are of interest to me are something to do with automotive, more so on the electric vehicle side. I am also keen on looking at last mile logistics. I'm looking at mobility, where there is involvement of deep tech play. And mind you, what we have done is we have gone on to acquire or maybe take minority stakes, even startups outside India, which are sort of, which have first mover advantage or which have a cutting edge technology. And as and when India is ready, we could get those, companies to come into India. Because the advantage of partnering for any startup with a group like ours is, we have presence across the globe. We have a very strong reach. We have access to, 1.3 billion Indian people. That really can open up a lot of opportunities, a lot of new markets. So it's a perfect win-win situation, a perfect synergistic partnerships, as I would look at, to be explored. So these are some of the preliminary thoughts that I have, and obviously as I engage more with the Berlin and the German startup ecosystem, I'm sure there'll be a lot more opportunities that will come up my way.
Fantastic. And let me be like the underdog for a second, because we all spoke this discussion. And as German ecosystem, as German industry, look at Silicon Valley, look at Tel Aviv. it's definitely not only native people that born and raised that. We have to welcome other investors, other mindset, other kind of capital, because first of all, we know it's faster growth, and second, we understand the difference of being a diverse ecosystem. It's eventually not a social thing, it's absolutely good for the business. And you mentioned a lot of automobility, and we all know that, you know, Tesla is coming to Berlin and to Germany, and let's see what will bring with it when the Americans stepping in here. So I think it's actually important for you to come here, but it's important for us to have you here as well. So I'm happy to be here and to really encourage you to take the next step.
In fact, Mali, I want to add two quick thoughts to you. You know, the points you've made absolutely very valid points. And in fact, Tesla is setting up a gigafactory in near Berlin just for the same reason as we are setting up. I mean, you know, we chose Munich as our destination for our hypercar project. Besides that, what I forgot to mention that I do like about Berlin is obviously the multiculturality. You know, you've got different people coming and sort of setting up startups here. We've got so many unicorns. In fact, Auto One is one of the startups that we are personally benchmarking and closely tracking in India for some of our core businesses.
Happy to know.
So, you know, there is a lot of synergies that we're looking at even with respect to startups.
Fantastic. Maria, you wanted to say something?
Yes, thank you, Mali. I just wanted to add to your points that because from a corporate point of view, and specifically because we also want to open up for startups, we want to collaborate. That's what the program management is also going to be about, a strategy about the companies that we want to collaborate with in a service, but maybe that also want to come to Siemensstadt and have a location there. And also, of course, add to our existing Siemens businesses on site. And there's usually this, let me put it this way, there's a disconnect with startups with a new mindset. They have those fresh ideas, yet they might be too early in a stage. So, and specifically, we are a factory based location. So we have a lot of factory. We were talking about deep tech. Deep tech always takes a lot of investments. So if Mahindra Group is investing and is giving those startups a good way ahead, it also gives corporates like Siemens with a factory background a good, let's say, reputation, but also reasoning to work with those startups because they have the maturity beyond, let's say, seed stage, where we know there's more than just an idea, which is always very important for good collaboration.
This is actually fantastic because I'm always saying, you know, the foreigners will come in, start to buy everything, and then the German ecosystem will, you know, wake up and understand that. So this is why you're here also, to not make it too slow. Yes. Naoyoshi, I would love to hear you, and also if you can say how us as an ecosystem can support you to really make it successful for you here.
So, first of all, let me tell the story why we SPI Group here in Berlin, how it came to this startup ecosystem. So, it's unfortunately it is quite simple and logical. 2016, when the Berlin startup ecosystem is gradually booming, so 2015 or 16. We had a first investment in the Berlin startups. I don't name it, but we totally as a direct investment from Tokyo, a couple of the Berlin startups. At that time, we were quite convincing that city of Berlin, capital city of Germany, is going to be the it's a second financial center in Europe. Beside Frankfurt and Main, so that was just our forecast or prognostication, but we did not hesitate to come to this city. Usually we are a large corporate. So a large corporate is something that before you expand to the overseas, to set up the branch in the overseas, you should conduct very precisely the market analysis or market, these kind of things. But we did not conduct this kind of things because we had a quite convincible aspect toward the city of Berlin, that this city is definitely win the startup games in the European continent. So it just took 1 year to establish our European first office here in Berlin. Before that, we focusing always in the so-called new economy. So new economy is the such as Southeast Asia or Asian market. So the European economy is a kind of classical old economy. So it was at that time quite rare or unusual decision to expand the European economy in 2018. That's too late, yeah. So, but we chosen this option simply because I mentioned that we had a lot of business opportunity here in Berlin. So, and second thing is that we are strategical investor, meaning that we have a kind of responsibility to bring the startups, invested startups, to the certain level as a company. So that is still our added value, how to enlarge the company or how to bring the added value to this targeted company. So in this sense, we had value of the supporting the geo expansion to the Asian economy. So so we should this kind of the hands-on approach towards the European startup as well as the Japanese startup. That's why we should need physically to be here. That's a quite logical thing, but it's, I'm sorry, it's not interest or it's not amazing his story about our expansion. But yeah, I see city of Berlin. As I mentioned, that a lot of promising growth, and I hope that his next investor from Asia is coming soon in order to bring this ecosystem more internationalized, because investor is currently playing quite a significant role in terms of the bring the network, existing network around the world. So that's our mission to be here. So I'm happy to share my experience.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing this. I can tell you that as an ecosystem builder, as an investor, it's much needed here also from the startup perspective. Yes, Nils.
I'm so eager to pitch in here because we're, kind of talking about Berlin being this great place with a great network and everything. But I find it fascinating also as a parable to maybe the development of Germany as an economy on the whole, because Berlin's actually an unlikely story. In the 90s, post-wall coming down, there were all these amazing plans prepared for Berlin, and they were going to rebuild the city, and it was just going to be fantastic, and none of that really happened. Like, it kind of flopped, and Berlin ran out of money, and even this train station here, well, still struggling, I guess, but even this train station, they weren't able to finish the roof due to lack of funds. So now, if your ICE stops there and you're in first class and it's raining, you're going to get wet when you exit the train. But actually, that was, a huge blessing in disguise, I think, for the city, because it just opened up all of this room for experimentation. And I think that's what made Berlin successful. And that's why today we have, all kinds of people flocking to Berlin and looking to invest money. And if we look at German industry post-World War II, and I see this very much in our company, you know, there were many manufacturing companies that were successful, that expanded internationally, and, you know, they did things well, like engineering and all of these things. But, you know, the success also led to complacency. And the larger these organizations got, I mean, Siemens, you know what I'm talking about, the more complacent, the more rigid, the more arrogant, and the less room for experimentation.
I'm happy you said that, it's not me.
And look, and that's, I think, today what is the trouble with a lot of these large German companies. They're not connecting to certain trends because they're not having the room for experimentation. They're risk averse. And so, you know, in the 90s, a lot of Germany was looking on Berlin and kind of laughing. But, you know, now Berlin is in a way leading the future because this is where you have the startups. This is where you have the creativity.
At least if you search for disruptive deep tech and truly, you know, you can test the market more than in Germany. I mean, it's not everything pink. We have a lot to do and long way to go. Absolutely. But maybe, Nils, I want you to share also about the incubation you mentioned as a family office, as a generation that taking the responsibility of where the family, the company is going, you choose to adapt the innovation.
Yes, precisely. And I mentioned before, you know, we were a startup almost 80 years ago, Siemens, even more than that. And I think, you know, over those decades, we had to reinvent ourselves many times. But if I look at maybe the last 20 years, you know, the reinvention really stopped. And again, what happens as an organization gets large and successful, it tends to develop antibodies to new ideas. So it becomes innovation averse. And this is something, you know, we understood. And so we decided to really carve out a kind of safe space, if you will, where new ideas can foster. And that's why we set up New Ventures as basically our kind of corporate incubator. We're not looking for funding at this point in time coming in, and we're also not looking to invest necessarily into other startups, but really just trying to create within our company a space where we can develop ideas that are new, that are disruptive, and that we then bring to market. And I think, you know, coming back to the title of this panel, you know, something else that German industrial companies often miss is the topic of diversity. And I'm not talking about gender only, it's just general diversity of skills and opinions and backgrounds. And so that's another thing that we're trying to pay a lot of attention to, is really make sure that we have very mixed teams with, you know, a lot of internationality and just basically trying to bring together different skill sets to then actually come up with these new ideas and hopefully successful business models. But again, you need to really carve out a safe space for that because the large organization tends to kill anything that's new, unfortunately.
I have to tell you that the first time we met, that was the beauty that I heard from your, you know, mindset or state of mind, because I know family officers, working with them quite close, they're risk averse, they're not changing, the scares of like, okay, so our generation will be the one that will damage everything that you mentioned, and thank you for being open. And I know, and I'm sure it's not easy for you to also change it within the family, you know, grandpa and another, like, why change when everyone are happy, millionaires already, you know, why are you doing different things? And this is where exactly like Naoyoshi is coming here, or Siemensstadt hopefully will bring different mindset, at least in the program, and stepping in. I mean, let's be very honest and open. We need that as startups. We need people that move faster, that will allow our startup to do pilot faster. I mean, you mentioned you have a factory. Imagine I have a startup that's touching automobility. I will die to test it in your place instead of going to Silicon Valley or to Israel or whatever to run it faster. So it's so important, and this is something, it's our message here, you know, how much it's important to bring foreigner investors, corporates, different mindset and culture, but on the same time, having the entrepreneurial mindset that Germany beautifully built over the years, and to show that it's open. It's open for the younger generation not to go outside, but stay here and to grow here.
Well, I think openness is the key factor to innovation. Without openness, you will not innovate. And again, I think Berlin is a great example of an open city, an international city. And again, that's why this ecosystem, I think, is thriving. And that's probably missing in other parts of Germany, other cities, or in other companies. And yeah, definitely openness is what you need to be looking for.
So again, I can speak about this topic forever. This is exactly my burning things. But we do have several minutes, and I would like to give you the stage also to say, again, if I'm a startup, if I'm a venture capital, if I'm a corporate, how can I approach you? What are you searching for? And eventually, hopefully from this stage, to build partnerships. Naoyoshi, maybe you will start.
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. I think it's the how to collaborate among all the relevant participants is everything possible. For instance, currently I'm taking care of the couple of the European startups, German startups, especially for helping the geo expansion to the Southeast Asian economy. I feel that is from my personal view, but I see it's kind of the cultural difference, but I see kind of the distance between the founders and the investors. I feel this. I don't feel in Asian startups this kind of the sad, atmosphere. If it comes to the Asian startups, I think you feel kind of the family atmosphere in the whole so to help the grow up the startups with jointly. So I think this is kind of a little bit pity things, which is reflected by the cultural things. But I try to kind of fill in the gap, psychological gap between the European and Asian investors or startups. So in this sense, I don't have any concrete partnership, but I'm very flexible to be the positioning on playing this kind of all-round player, not as a classical investor, to not just providing the financially support, but also the mentally or psychologically support to bring the bridging function. That's one of my personal mission as an Asian investor here, to be here in Berlin.
Beautiful and so important. In every discussion we say venture capital is not only about the capital itself. And yes, I'm totally with you when it comes to the culture differentiation. And we see how much Asian investors are treating their own portfolio different. Also not only in Asia, but also in other Silicon Valley places, which make the ecosystem healthier and stronger. Maria, would you like to share?
Yes. So before I say what we're looking for, I still want to quickly paint the picture about Siemensstadt. So we're in the beginning of the project. Siemensstadt is supposed to be ready, or Siemensstadt Square is supposed to be ready in 2035. So we're beginning of quite a long journey, and we want to build an ecosystem, an organically growing ecosystem, where the people are in the middle of this whole project. It's technology to purpose, so technology is going to be very important, but it is about the people. We want to have a district where people are working, living, spending their leisure time, whatever it is you do on a daily basis. This is the place to be, and it shall be in a district where we want to actually build the future, where we want to implement new stuff. We don't want to follow, we want to be the guys leading into this new ways of building a district. That to start with. So what it is I'm looking for is, of course, ideas how to build an ecosystem organically. The area itself is 1 million square meters, so it's quite big. It's 13 times the size of Alexanderplatz. Maybe that's a more accurate or easier, let's say, comparison. At least it helped me. And so it is huge. We're going to have companies there. We're going to have, of course, an energy concept because you still need to run this whole district. So if you have new business models and how to make it work, please approach me. I'd be very happy to listen to that and think about ways to maybe incorporate it as well. Or if you want to invest, also reach out to me. Just keep in mind we're early in the project, so it's nothing that will happen tomorrow. But any idea, anything that you want to contribute or that you want to add to this district, I'd be very happy to have a conversation, follow up after this panel.
And also Maria will show you that it's not going to take 10 years as well.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. Siddharth, would you like to say something?
Well, what all that I can say is maybe anyone has any opportunities for my group. I mean, we are in far too many sectors to for me to name it right now and take everyone's time. But maybe you can, if you go to our website and see the kind of businesses that we are in, and if you have a product which is something which is different, or which is where you believe you have first mover advantage, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or wherever, and be rest assured that I'll respond to you in as quickly as possible. Because I am increasingly looking at some startups anywhere in the world, which basically is doing some great work on technology and which is synergistic with our businesses and which can give us the first mover advantage. And again, when it comes to startup investments, we are very open to minority stakes. We are open to let the founder run the company the way he wants to run, and our participation is largely going to be through the board. So while we will let the founder have the autonomy, at the same time, we can also help in providing strategic inputs, benefits of ecosystem, benefits of connections, and all of that.
Thank you. Nils.
Thank you. So we're not a classic corporate venture capital organization, so we're not looking for investments, but we are looking for collaborations. And we have two search fields. One is called digital construction and one is called better living. Maybe described in a different way, we want to help people when they build their homes, and then we want to improve the quality of life when they live in their homes. So if you guys have any ideas there, feel free to reach out, newventures@REHAU.com, or to me directly on LinkedIn. I'd be more than curious to see what comes around. Thanks.
You know what was my dream when established WLOUNGE is that you will have super strong key players in the ecosystem begging you to approach them. They have the capital, they have the knowledge, they have the skills, and they are very happy to collaborate. I think this is the best message out of it today. Thank you so much. Also, Siddharth, thank you so much all the way from India, and hopefully next year we will see you in person. Nils, you want to say something?
I just want to say thank you, Molly, for the invitation and the wonderful hosting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mali, and thank you, co-panelists.